Reports are out this week that the Trump administration is one of the most uber-Christian administrations ever.
Well, this looks like it's going to be good. I just hope Kyle doesn't overreact or anything, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it.
He has long maintained that changing the hearts of lawmakers to see a Christian worldview could guide them to making good policies. While he doesn't lobby on behalf of peace or advocate policies that would fit a Jesus-like agenda, he has started a Bible study group in 40 state capitals, as well as foreign capitals. He teaches weekly Bible study classes for the U.S. House and Senate, and now leads a group of nearly all of Trump's cabinet officials.
I don't support the making of laws based on religious worldviews, but really all this seems to be saying is it could motivate them into making better policies, which I guess in theory could be true, as any class could motivate that. I prefer they took humanist or even government classes, as they need that more. Hell, what bothers me more about this is the fact that they seem to be excluding Jesus from this. Hell, if it was up to me and they had to take Bible classes, that would be all they'd be teaching. Now, let's just hear Kyle name off the people that are in these classes.
Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price, Energy Secretary Rick Perry, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue, and CIA Director Mike Pompeo are all regular attendees. The most notable, however, is Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
That's interesting. I mean, I believe I heard Mike was religious, and I'm almost certain that I heard Jeff Sessions was religious. I can't particularly see anything wrong with that, but, I mean, I'm sure Kyle will lay it out. There was one part that I was a little more concerned about with Kyle speaking in this. I'll skip over since I find the rest of it's just really reading out it. So let's just go to let's skip ahead.
This creeps me out, man. This is not good. So, we covered the story the other day. According to an evangelical fundamentalist radio host and Michelle Bachmann, who was on the show, and she's also a fundamentalist, they said there are 13 Bible literalists in the Trump administration. 13. And now we're learning, they have weekly Bible study where they all get together and read parts of the Bible and talk about the wisdom of it.
For one, I don't see any problem in that. What? Are politicians automatically supposed to abandon their religions once they enter office, and they're not allowed to practice or go to a Bible study if they choose to be? And what's really creepy about that? I mean, if there was an atheist in the White House, I wouldn't really give a shit if they went to humanist meetings and discussed other things, or hell, even if they did other weird shit. As long as they were not trying to impart their craziness on me, then I wouldn't give a fuck. So, I mean, I don't really see the issue here. And you have to define Bible literalists, because there's so many different interpretations that I could say right now that I'm a Bible literalist, but my interpretation of the Bible isn't really different than what is considered the norm. You know, I could believe in all sorts of stuff with that. So being a Bible literalist can mean a bunch of different things. Now, if you mean they're the kind of Bible literalist where they're like young earth creationists or something along that matter, then I expect you to give me hard evidence that will point to that direction. If you can't, I'm assuming that you want me to take it on faith, which is funny coming from an atheist.
Noah's Ark's story. Somebody lived to age 900 and got every animal on a fucking ark that he built that's bigger than any ark that's ever been built, because the wood cannot actually stretch like that when it's that big, and the boat wouldn't be able to float, and he got two of every animal on the boat, and he somehow had the temperature right for the polar bears, but also had the temperature right for the tropical animals, and he made the mosquitoes fuck to have little mosquito kids, and people, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You got all the animals on the boat, they didn't eat each other? Wait, what? How did you feed all the animals? How did you not get eaten by the tigers? Like, the list goes on. Like, what do you mean? You can't fit every animal that exists on a boat. That's ridiculous. The world flooded? That's not a thing. The whole world flooded. Woo! And it happened. The world's only 6,000 years old. And okay, these are things Bible literalists believe.
For one, I don't believe in the Bible, but I, as a person who studies it for fun, I have seen debates where arguments have been made that the flood was a local flood, and the animals that were brought on were animals that were expected to be on there from the area, and the aging system was more symbolic than anything, in representing the Sumerian years and all that stuff. And, you know, of course with the numbering things, making it off the boat would be smaller, and yada yada yada. Now, while I don't necessarily buy those arguments, I can at least say they're there, and you can feel free to look them up. I would recommend General Han Solo on that topic, along with some Hugh Ross. Also, Kyle made a claim here. He was saying that these people, because they are Bible literalists, are young earth creationists, and have other extreme views. Well, let me go on how that doesn't really follow. And granted, this is all from a simple Google search, something that even Kyle could have looked up and found out on his own with a simple search. Tom Price is an anti-abortion and anti-gay rights activist. It is a Presbyterian orthopedic physician, but opposed teaching intelligent design in school, and he seems to believe in evolution, as he quoted a phrase from Francis Collin, an evolution-believing scientist, in a good light in an article. The quote was, "A God's plan including the mechanism of evolution to create the marvelous diversity of living things on our planet." This seems to go to prove that Tom Price does believe in evolution, thus making the young earth creationist claim false. Rick Perry is pro-secularism. In his book, On My Honor, he said, "Let's be clear, I don't believe government, which taxes people regardless of faith, should espouse a specific faith." And he said while he supports intelligent design being taught in school, he shouldn't be the one who decides that, and the educators should. So he seems to be more open-minded, at least to science, and he seems to be, not dogmatic on it, and he seems to be on your side on this. Now, I don't really know about him in politics, but I've heard pretty much everyone Donald Trump has put in office is horrible. Now, on to Betsy DeVos. She seems to be against trans bullying, and from her friend Greg McNeely, it is said that she does not believe that intelligent design should be taught in public schools. It doesn't seem like there is any evidence she's a young earth creationist or anything. She hasn't took a stance from it from as far as I can tell. But granted how she's against intelligent design being taught in schools, she seems maybe to be more open-minded to the science and what science has to say. This speculation, but that's where the evidence could lead you. Sonny Perdue has really no information on the matter. The only thing that is remotely with him is that he has supported evolution being renamed in the school. Now, does this mean he necessarily supports evolution? Of course not. He could have simply wanted to keep the name for other reasons. But until information comes out, he's innocent until proven guilty. Mike Pompeo, well, a crazed lunatic with extreme values, we can't say for certain what his position is on evolution or young earth creationism. Like Sonny, until new information comes out, we have to consider him innocent. Jeff Sessions has pretty much the same rep as the above too. I can't find anywhere where he directly says that the earth is literally 6,000 years old, or even other stuff to bother to support his biblical views. So, overall, with the available evidence, at best you could draw that their stance on homosexuality is influenced in part by their religious beliefs. But their view on the universe isn't necessarily. But here's the interesting thing about all this. Even if all of them were young Earth creationists, that wouldn't disqualify them from any jobs in politics, or would mean they couldn't necessarily do a good job. I could see maybe a young Earth creationist doing a great job in political office. Now, while I couldn't understand them and why they could possibly hold that view, granted all the evidence we have to the contrary, I don't get that, but it would be wrong to discriminate against them solely for that belief. Now, if they try to teach that shit in school, which the courts won't allow, then yeah, I'd be against it. But until that day comes, we have to be speculative and be rational. Also, I would like to remind you that making false claims against someone with the intent of hurting their career is slander by its very fucking definition. And for, if anything else, it's dishonest, as you could find a shit ton of other stuff that they did that could accomplish that job for you that has a lot more evidence to back it up.
Always good to have somebody that's a Bible literalist in that position. And look, if you just take what they're doing and change the religion, and then you might really get the effect of how extreme this is. Because maybe you're biased by the culture and the environment you were raised in and the religion you were raised in. I don't know, I know Christians, they're fine. Okay, they're Quran literalists. Then also, whoa. Now we're flirting with Saudi Arabia level shit, right?
Wrong. While I am biased like how anyone with a position and a brain is, I'm not really on this issue, as it doesn't impact me. What would make them trying to make this like Saudi to Arabia would be if they were actively trying to make America a theocracy, which they can't do without starting a war and taking over. And to be fair, they wouldn't do it anyway, because capitalism and America's system, as it is making them more money and allows them more control. And even if we had 13 Muslims in office, and they were Quran literalists, and wanted to hold meetings in their private time, and it was simply said it could impact their ability to make policies, which, let's be honest, it won't. The politicians are more beholden to their corporate backers than they are to the Bible. And to be fair, if they were saying that they weren't teaching certain parts of Muhammad, which you could argue would be a good thing, then I still wouldn't care, as I actually believe in the freedom to practice your own religion and to believe what you want to believe, as long as they're not trying to force that shit on me. Until it can be proven that they are specifically making laws against me, they can hold a Bible session every day or every hour. As long as they keep that shit to themselves, I'm fine with it.
You know, imagine it was... They all got together and they did voodoo. They did a fire, they danced around the fire, they had their voodoo dolls and they were chanting. You'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Or they all got in a circle and they wore capes and they read Harry Potter and they thought it was accurate. You'd say, whoa, you guys might need to be in a mental institution.
If they did voodoo on their own time and thought that, and they didn't try to pass policies encouraging their beliefs, again, I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't say I agree with them, or that I think that their beliefs are weird, but I would tolerate it. Now, if you're comparing the Bible to Harry Potter, well, once again, I don't believe either are true. I feel the need to correct you on this. Harry Potter doesn't have an entire scholarship plus academic field based on it. We don't try to come to facts about the past from the Harry Potter series. The Bible isn't admittedly a children's story by its writers, nor was it ever supposed to be taken as one. The Harry Potter series has not affected American history and culture like it. Also, since you are obviously implying that a belief in God is a mental illness, I'll read this quote from someone who had the same stance as you. Also, to be fair, you should have the right hat for this with the right music. In my opinion, all believers are psychologically abnormal people, and it is entirely natural for them to be sent into mental hospitals. It is our aim to liquidate religion as quickly as possible. For the time being, we partially tolerate it for political reasons. But when a favorable opportunity arises, we shall not only close down your monastery, but all your churches and monasteries. A Soviet Union public official to petitioners.
But no, we're just used to and okay with people, grown fucking people, sitting down, reading a book that talks about how there are seven-headed dragons.
Typically, on the scholarship view, they hold to the idealistic interpretation. The beast you refer to, or the seven-headed dragon, is interpreted as the state of any kingdoms against God. Revelation 13 and Daniel 7 seem to support that, with Daniel 7:17 saying that the seven-headed dragons are revealed as kingdoms. Therefore, the beast is a composite of the beast of Daniel. This fits in with the time frame of what the people were going along with at the time, and the apocalyptic language, which was also common in that era.
It is a terrible sin in the eyes of God to eat shellfish and pork.
Old Testament law. Also, don't Matthew 5:18 me on that. While it is debatable what it means, it typically is interpreted that Jesus fulfilled the law when he died. Romans 10:4, Galatians 3:23 through 25, and Ephesians 2:15 tend to affirm that. Funny enough, even if it was binding now, I would be fine. I'm allergic to shellfish, and my doctor says I shouldn't be eating meat with my problems anyway, so God would be doing me a favor.
It says in the Bible, women should not be allowed to teach men anything.
Since you didn't give a verse, I'll assume you mean 1 Timothy 2:12, which all that says is that women can't teach men anything in church. Not that they can't teach at all. If you couldn't get that, I'm questioning your reading of the Bible, and if you actually did read it, or didn't just go to some atheist website and blankly read what they said it was on. Basically, women just can't be pastors is all, but teaching children is fine.
So Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, a little contradiction there now, isn't it? You think the Bible's literally true. The Bible says women can't teach anything. So it seems like you have to step down from Education Secretary now, don't you?
No. My reason above, but even if I assume you're right on the Bible, which is more than generous, she would still not in any way be contradicting the Bible. Not just don't you know about the Bible, but the government on top of that. Since you can't do either government or religion right, really what is your show? As the head of the U.S. Department of Education, your job is to advise and execute legislation over the education policy. Tell me, where in that definition, in that requirement, does it require her to teach anyone anything? She's given a list of possible things she could do, and her job is simply to go over and decide what to do and how to execute it. Nowhere in that does she have to teach a course on education to anyone.
It's a book that has slavery in it, genocide in it.
I get what you mean, but you worded it so poorly. History books have slavery and genocide in it, so are you saying that they shouldn't be reading history books? I mean, granted, with your communistic comment earlier on, I wouldn't be surprised if you, like them, weren't trying secretly to rewrite history.
There's parts of the Bible where they allude to the earth being flat.
The people may have believed it was flat, but whether they actually said so in the Bible actually remains to be seen. I'll put a link down to a Tektonics vid on the matter in the description for those that are curious.
This is like the last book that people with power should be reading.
Actually, this book is the last book people with power should be reading.
Mr. Big Shot, capitalist, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, narcissistic, grab him by the pussy buffoon, is now the head of a government where most of the people in his cabinet are like, what is Yahweh saying to me? Is he whispering to me? I must I must follow my Jigglypuff in space.
For one, even if we grant you that they are all young Earth creationists, which no one that has the right mind should, and they read the Bible as literally as they can, that would not follow that they hear God talking to them or anything like that. Also, for the whole Jigglypuff in space in comparison to God, that just puts you on the idiot list. And that goes for anyone in the comments too. If you use the phrases flying spaghetti monster, invisible pink unicorn, or etc., whatever you can come up with, you are automatically an idiot. You could show me all your doctorates, your scientific accomplishments, hell, you could show me your freaking Nobel Prize in physics, and you'd still make the idiot list. I have a list of books which I will put in the description for those of you who actually want to learn something on this topic, and not what you are told to by others who share your opinion. In conclusion, I actually like it when Kyle does vids on religion, because I feel it shows his real true colors on secularism. Kyle's secularism is like this. It's a trademark and nothing more. Kyle is like the racist that will say, "Oh, black people, yeah, they are nice people and stuff. Are they as smart and as wise as me? Fuck no! They need to be locked in a cage." This is all for now.